All right, Stormy. We're recording. We're not live technically,
okay.
But yeah, do you have a live stream software you like to use? I've been playing around with OBS a little bit.
I've used like live stream, like just a website. We've done it when I played college volleyball. If we didn't have our own live stream at the school, sometimes my dad would use like the live stream app or Periscope.
Yeah.
But those are like, I feel like those are pretty like sports specific. Like they do a lot. But I know where I went to undergrad, they use live stream for all their events. Even like when we have a multi-camera shot, that's what they live stream things through.
Yeah. See, that's in the new studio with the, like, I'm designing the table to be able to have two cameras. And then I'm going to have, I have this whiskey barrel table. It's super cool. And two whiskey barrel stools now. So like, kind of like just a table with two bar stools type setup.
Yeah.
It's like got a glass top on the whiskey barrel, but that'll be another shot in the studio. But I want to do live streaming, but like I'm not really, I don't even really know what all open broadcast software that OBS, it does some of the same stuff we were talking about. But I don't know if it does live stream or not. I need like a multi-camera production system.
I'm trying to think. I was going to say like Facebook Live, but that's going to be like only one.
I know.
But I want to say,
well, I did find at Valley Piano, this guy, Brian, he has one, but it's only for tablets and phones, right? But it's only like, I think he said $250, but that's like, for me, I'm just like, why can't that camera have apps on it?
yeah,
If it did, my life would be just like,
so much easier.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. The live stream's the only thing I think I've ever actually had any experience with.
Yeah. I think that in the next 10 years, either that or it's just like they're controlling it, just like they're controlling my COVID-19 post on Facebook.
Oh, no.
Did you see that? Okay, everything about COVID-19 in like the last 5 days got banned, and they just put it back on Facebook, but like obviously nobody can see it.
Like they make it where any post about it? Or
essentially, yes. So like I shared this post that was like... kids sell, this is like right when it was getting weird, it's like kids sells hand sanitizer at their school, and it was like a USA Today article, right?
Yeah, a little kid got in trouble for that.
Yeah.
It's like
that got taken down. Yes. Right. And then they sent this thing out today. I got it, was like, we were wrong, sorry. But it's just like, it's not in circulation anymore.
Yeah, but why?
The control of information.
But everyone's like talking about everything.
They are, but it's like they are, but not really in social settings now.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, right? So the spread of information, I feel like has definitely been kind of dwindled down. Remember how like hysterical it was like 5 days ago?
Yeah.
And then like I didn't hear anything for a whole day after it was like we had the first few cases or whatever. And it's like, oh, by the way, we got a whole bunch now.
It's just honestly nuts. Like, obviously we've never experienced anything like this, but it's also like you think about in the past when, I mean, even when swine flu was a big thing, media still wasn't as involved as it is now. And I think like, it's not necessarily that the virus is scary. What's the scariest thing is all the misinformation, because on one side you're getting, oh, we only have 20 cases. Then we have 20,000. Oh, well, there's not even been a diagnosed case because we don't have this test. So it's just like, the virus itself is not scary. It's just everyone is chiming in and saying things, and you never know what's true.
So, you're a graduate student in journalism. What is your assessment of all this from the media perspective outside of what you just said?
I think it has been, I guess, blown out of proportion in a sense, because I think, like I said, like a swine flu and thing like that wasn't that long ago, and we did not have this hysteria about it, and it was actually more dangerous.
Yeah, I feel like people are being pretty reasonable about it right now, right? Have you met anybody that's just totally losing their mind?
I think I've heard of some parents like around this area that are, but this one parent I've heard of is generally like a germaphobe. And so they've always been kind of nervous about sickness. And so her daughter got a fever and she was like, oh my gosh, like, do I need to go get her tested? Like, and like, just wait it out. Because really right now, we don't have anything to give people. So even if you do have it, you're just going to be sent home unless you're super sick.
Saturday and Sunday, they're supposed to test a whole bunch of people, apparently. There's or we're getting a big shipment of tests here in Arkansas or something.
And when that happens, people are going to freak out because so many cases will be diagnosed. But it's not that it's spread that much more. It's just we actually have the ability to test now. So we're not just guessing if it's the flu, seasonal allergies, or like COVID-19.
I just have seasonal allergies, okay? I just want you to know I have the sniffles a little bit.
I mean, I feel
full
like
disclosure.
If I could have gotten it, I already have it. Like,
that's what McMillan said earlier. You know, Josh McMillan, Chief of Campus Police, he was just like, with all of the stuff they got me doing, like, I probably have it. No. He's like, if anybody is like at risk, he's like, I'm processing all these people and coming in contact with all these students and crazy. Yeah. But you don't live on campus, so that's good.
No, I feel like I'd be like a prisoner there. I live off campus, but it's very close to campus, but I'm not allowed back on right now.
You're in the hopper behind, like 2 podcasts ago, I did one with Reader, but I've been so busy uploading my online lectures, I haven't uploaded it. How's he doing with all this?
I mean, he's a cabin guy, so I don't know if he's in the woods or he's at the beach.
Yeah, he's either sailing the Gulf with an eye patch on.
Yeah, or he's in his cabin, but it makes it difficult for our class, like...
Yeah, that's basically what I was meaning. Like, how are you able to access and interact with him?
I think he came on campus like Monday or Tuesday, and so that's when we heard back from him on an email. Because when you told me he's like that he doesn't even have internet out there, all my classmates were texting back and forth because we haven't heard from him and we didn't know if he had something to do.
I think he does, but I think it's just ridiculously slow and something.
I was like, hey guys, like I don't think he has that good of access out there. Like
he can't stream video, for example, I think is what he was saying.
Yeah, so I was like, he might not be doing anything. But now that this has all happened and we've kind of had to like adjust our syllabus and stuff, he just emailed us and said, don't worry about anything until after spring break. I was like, yes. I got
an email today saying that tech, I don't know if you know this, it's going to the end of the semester on
Yes. I think that's going to blanket the state. Like,
I think it is too, but our university is like, well, until the 17th with public schools. I'm just like, I don't see it.
Well, my thing is, when you're thinking about college students, we only have like 3 full weeks of class after that and then finals. So legitimately there is no point in going back, because you think about all the kids that have legit left either out of state, out of country through it, they're not going to come back. So why try to force that? Like, even though I think it's a little over dramatic that you would cancel it, or like that you would make everything online for that long, but when you think about it, there's just really no point in coming back.
I think that I would have liked to see him wait till like Wednesday of this next week to make that decision. But at the same time, I get it, like but it's governor mandated. It's like the closing of gyms.
Yeah,
that's like when Cora mentioned that earlier, I was just like, yeah,
it's depressing. But I think it's honestly been kind of funny though through all this, is how many people are like, oh my gosh, like now I have to work out at home. And I'm like, you didn't work out the 6 years before this. Why is it that you're in quarantine and you have to work out now? But I'm not complaining about that. I just think it's funny because if it gets more people like active and moving, great. But it was just like, honey, you haven't even worked out in 6 years. Why does this quarantine change what you're doing?
Do you have a fitness center? Do you work out anywhere other than our gym?
At Tech.
Yeah,
in the weight room.
At the Tech Fit?
No, actually in Tucker.
Oh,
I just I wish I should have gotten a membership at Tech Fit because I do like cardio equipment, but I'll usually like add some quick stuff in my like lifts and everything that kind of get my heart and cardio. And plus when I'm doing fitness kickboxing, that's a lot of cardio too.
It is. So. That anaerobic it's great. I need to go run today.
I ran yesterday. It was painful. I ran with 2 former college cross-country runners, and one of them was actually a professional runner. Not that we only did 2 miles, but I have not run 2 miles consecutively, and I don't know how long. And so it hurt.
Yeah, I've only been running for like not even a few months, like 3 months maybe. I was going to do the 10K, but I assume it's probably going to be canceled. It was in April. As part of the half marathon. St. Mary's, my gym that I work out, is closed. So I'm going to have to do something. Luckily, I own a gym. I can go work out there with kettlebells and stuff. But I'm going to go in later today and film some stuff too.
Yeah, I'm interested to follow along some of that.
Yeah. We're going to be doing like virtual yoga and stuff. What a weird time.
I know. Like I said, we never experienced anything like this, and I didn't think it would come like this far, but it does make sense to be precautionary in the fact that we do not want to end up like Italy is right now.
Or like 1918.
Yeah.
That's the most recent thing. Like I was talking on the phone with this Courier reporter yesterday, Hannah. She's an undergraduate, I think, in the same program. But I was telling her the same thing. It's kind of what I was meaning is like people keep saying unprecedented, like worldwide and in this country, things have been really bad before. Just not since we've been this far advanced and this heavily populated. So the risk is even higher for those reasons. Like I think like right after World War I, 1918. And I wonder, I need to go back and do some research on that because I wonder... that had to have been linked to all of the devastation right during and after and exposure and cross-cultural interactions with World War One, right?
Yeah, everyone was around everyone and some people like way out of their elements and not in familiar territory and exposed to things that they would have never been exposed to had the war not been going on.
Yeah. I wonder, like, I've been like researching just a tad about that. By research, I mean I watch Outbreak on Netflix.
I watched that too.
But how? And there's a post going around Facebook that kind of explains how things how viruses mutate from like human to human, to animal.
I read something like that.
That's wild.
Yeah, but when I watched Outbreak, I'm like, that's what we're acting like. Is that people die in 6 hours from this, and so. Yeah. No, it's not that crazy. But I do understand that, like, it's not just, like, necessarily people, like, around our ages and stuff. But my other take on this, and this is just me being really selfish and not wanting to be quarantined, if you're immunosuppressed or if you're older and more susceptible, they should quarantine themselves. Because if we're coming into contact with each other and everything and not going to see them, not being around the same things they are, then it's just spreading between people that are fighting it off naturally and don't have any like symptoms or issues, so we can go about living our regular life, and the people that are more susceptible to it can be quarantined. But I know it's more, like that won't happen. What
rationing is happening right now? Have you been charting that?
I've seen like rationing with like toilet paper and
flour, sugar, salt, things like that. Like so like Reader was saying he has like 500 pounds of salt or some crazy thing, not from like making a run, just from being prepared. But somebody bought I guess like a big bag of sugar and a big bag of flour, and they got stopped both at the checkout and at the door, and we're like, oh, those are two different products. You can't get two of anything right now. Like you can't get 2 1-pound bags of flour.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I got checked when I left Walmart yesterday, but I'm also shocked. A lot of older couples were in Walmart. I'm like, stay inside.
Oh, did you see I finally closed the beaches down? That's good.
Yeah, because people
were just like storming the beach.
Did you see that video? It's like, we're not gonna let it get us down. We've been planning this trip for a while, like 2 months, and we're just gonna live our life and like get wasted out here, and like we're just having fun, because we're not gonna let something like this stop us. Like, we're gonna be fine. We just want to enjoy ourselves. I'm like, when this is over and you see that you were interviewed like this, I hope you're embarrassed for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, go enjoy the beach. Just don't get interviewed by people being stupid.
I got interviewed at the beach one time. I wasn't being stupid. It was when the BP oil spill happened, and I was in Pensacola, and I literally had like a tar ball like get stuck to me, and I was like this, and then like, damn it, if a news reporter just didn't like appear and was like, we see you have some tar on you there, and I was like, yeah, this is crazy. It's the first time I've ever been here.
And this is what happens.
Yeah,
there you go.
It was like so weird though. Like quite literally, as soon as it happened, I was like, "Hey, I got some tar on me. This is wild."
You're like, let me see. Yeah. What do you think?
Jeez. So, what made you get into journalism? How long have you been pursuing this path?
Well, I actually went. So when I got into undergrad, I love sports. So like, I came in as a sports management major.
Were you an athlete in high school or anything?
Yes. So I grew up an athlete, started playing basketball when I was in kindergarten, played basketball until I was a sophomore in high school, added volleyball in there in like fifth or sixth grade, gave up basketball in high school to pursue volleyball my last 2 years of high school. And then I went on to play college volleyball at Ouachita Baptist. And so
okay, yeah.
Awesome. Loved volleyball, still want to play it, still trying to find a way.
What's it like going to Baptist University? Are you a Baptist?
Yes, I grew up Baptist. But it's not like I wasn't necessarily like searching out for a private Christian school to go to at all. I was really open to anything. I looked at a few other schools in the conference, and I mean, I looked at a lot of other state schools. I was not searching for that, but it just happened to work out because I was even looking at a Church of Christ school first, and that's where I
like Harding.
Well, no, because Harding's a prison, but
yeah, that's why I kind of asked about you going to a Baptist school. To
it wasn't like that. Like
if you had to like go to chapel. And
yes,
pray.
We did have chapel once a week, but not daily. Honestly, I liked it because when it's once a week, it doesn't feel like a chore, and we had some like pretty awesome speakers. OBU's like super, super musically talented. Like we have a great theater and music department there. And so the people that lead worship are insane. And so I did not mind chapel. Like I enjoyed it. And you have 4 skips a semester. So, I mean, most of us would just go the whole semester and then wait till the last 4 weeks of regular classes and just not go. It was at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays. So if you had an 8:30 class, you were already up. And if you didn't, I mean, you just had to be somewhere by 10. That's not that early. But I wasn't really looking for a private school, except like that's just how it was working out. Like I found one, Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee. Loved it, wanted to go there, thought I was going there, sold on it. First week of 2 days of my senior year. So I'm like, all my friends are already committed to where they're going to school and I'm still looking. They called me and they're like, yeah, we offered someone else. Sorry. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for the heads up. And so then I was like, oh man, like I'm not going to get to play anywhere.
Did that affect your performance?
No, I mean, I guess it made me work harder.
You played games after that though?
Oh yeah, because that was in preseason, and so I think I had practiced like the next day, and I had to tell my coach like what had happened, and so I mean, I guess it kind of made me play better because I knew I was like, I'm still looking for somewhere to play. Like I've got to do well enough for people to continue to notice me, and so then you're like all my friends I said were committed, and so when you're having to start your recruiting process over as a senior, it's like. No, not a lot of spots are open because coaches have gotten to where they basically recruit 2 and 3 years out for that class. So it's super competitive, and it's even gotten more competitive than when I was playing because I know 14 and 15-year-olds that are already picking where they want to go to school. Wow. And I was 18, not having a clue of where I was going to end up. And so I played club volleyball, which is like travel ball. And so that started in November, December, and I was trying to get recruited, getting coaches to come watch me at tournaments and everything.
Is it a game? Is it called a game when you play volleyball?
Mm-hmm. Like you've got
a match,
like points and like points it's kind of like tennis, like points and then a set. So it's 25 points to win a set, and then in high school and college ball, it's 3 out of 5 sets. So a team has to win 3 sets out of 5. Okay. But in like club tournaments. And some high school tournaments, you'll go 2 out of 3, and then that third and fifth set are to 15 points. And so I was trying to get recruited through all this, and the assistant coach at Ouachita emailed one of my coaches at this club and was like, "Hey, do you have a setter on your 18s team that's available?" And she's like, "Hey, Stormi, like, what do you think of this school?" And I was like, "How do you even say that? Like, I've never been to Arkansas. I don't know what the heck this school is."
Is Arkadelphia on 30?
Yes, it's like exit 73.
Okay.
So it's literally just right off 30.
How far is that from Little Rock?
Right at an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, you just go down like when you take that 430 exit to go like.
And where are you from in Texas?
Decatur, Texas. It's like an hour-ish, like 45 minutes an hour northwest of Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
So it was right at about like 4.5 hours to school, and now to tech it's about like 5.5, and so it's not bad. I'm really close to my family. Did not want to go super far away, but was open to it if it was the right school. I mean, I was looking at schools in California. I was looking at schools in South Carolina. Like I wasn't against moving that far away. It would have been hard, but my family is like my rock, and no matter where I would go, they they were going to make sure that I saw them and that they came and watched. Like there, in my 4 years at Ouachita, there were 2 games I did not have a immediate family member at.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger sister. She played volleyball until her sophomore year. After her sophomore season, she was like, I'm done with this. Like they got a new coach after my high school coach left, and it just wasn't the same. And I think she was kind of holding on to volleyball because she knew people wanted her to do it, and she was good. Like she wasn't bad at all. She just didn't have the drive, and because she was tired of being Stormi's little sister. Like we're 5 years apart, so like we had a lot of the same teachers. We had a lot of the same coaches. Like she was always Stormi's little sister, and she was like, I'm not passionate about volleyball like she is. I'm not going to be like she is in it. So now she golfs, and she's actually good. And
oh yeah, cool.
She likes that more because she's way better at it than I am. So she likes being better at it.
And how old is she now?
She's 18, so she's about to go to college.
Oh wow.
I know.
So did you get like all expenses paid type of situation on OBU?
Essentially yes, but no. So when I got there, the good thing about a lot of Division II schools is that they can stack scholarships, academic and athletics. So that is a blessing because without that, I would not have been able to. And at D1, it's like you get all or nothing. And so I wasn't going to be able to like afford Ouachita at all. My dad's a firefighter. My mom's a teacher. Like we're not
civil servant types.
Yeah, we're not wealthy by any means.
Isn't that sad that like you're like, hey, these people that build up the pillars of society, they don't make very good money.
Yeah,
I mean they do, like, but that, they're probably like what you would call the middle class, or and like me having a teacher's salary and offering free classes to all firefighters and law enforcement and stuff at the gym. Like I get it, but that's like, I've always thought like law enforcement, everything, it's like that should be the highest paid positions.
Yeah, my dad's pretty awesome. But
yeah, you got to be awesome to like put your life on the line for other people.
Yeah, and I mean it's been scary at times with him being a firefighter because he works in Dallas, and so yeah, it's been like scary at times. But like now with this outbreak, people are realizing how important educators are, which I'm like actually happy about because people are like, oh, they're not just teachers, they're counselors, they're mentors, they're everything to these students. Because whenever like they realize how much goes into a day of school, parents are like, oh gosh, like teachers do a lot.
Like just filming and uploading my content, not including like here's what I do. Like every semester when I get to something, I like add to it, right? I like revamp it and change it in some way, add to it, take away some stuff. So there's like that process. But then like, let's say I didn't get that far in my course, or it's just something I didn't cover, or something new, something I'm fitting in. There's all of that work. And then there's like the delivery of it. And then there's all of the things associated with the uncertainties and this person that missed class. But just like filming and uploading, because I got to film, render my video, then upload it. And Blackboard has been bogged down.
Oh yeah, because everyone's trying to upload. I heard like Zoom has shut down multiple times because
we're trying to do digital yoga on Zoom. I've never used it before.
I've never used it either.
Maybe that's what I was meaning when Zoom you can do. I don't know if you can do multi-cameras on that though.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, it's like I barely figured out how to hook my camera into the mixer and make it do this. Like, because it has, it's weird, my USB from the mixer does not do as quality of audio as the camera. So
yeah, the cameras at school don't pick up audio very well, so we have to use those mics and make sure they work.
Jerry Bruckheimer's nephew set this up for me. It's not a big deal. I can't take credit. So okay, so you
I went to OBU as sports manager.
You played all the way through?
Yes, played all 4 years.
Wow.
Wish I could have played 8. Like honestly would go back in a heartbeat right now and start it all over.
And that was your only eligibility, though. You could just play 4. But
I could play another sport for a season. Like I thought about playing beach, but I'm terrible at it, so there wasn't really any draw for me to do that, just because it wasn't something I was going to be good at. But played all 4 years. Came in a sports management major. Decided that maybe sports management wasn't the most.
What does sports management do? Like, manage a team?
I kind of thought I wanted to be like a sports agent and thought about going to law school after that.
Like Jerry Maguire?
Yeah, but like cooler.
Yeah, that's really, I don't understand why people make a big deal about that movie. I mean, I never thought it was that good.
Yeah, I want to be a sports agent, and then people are like, wait, like you're not going to do communications? I was like, well, no, like I'm going to go sports management. And it was funny because when I came on my visit to OBU, I sat down with the dean of the communications school, like was very sold on them, loved them, and they thought I was going to be in their program. So when I got to school and wasn't, my coach was like, Stormi, I literally had a special meeting set up for you when you got here so that you could meet them and like talk with them, and you didn't even pick their major. I was like, oh, sorry, coach. But then my second semester of my freshman year, I was like, screw it, like I'll add it as another major. It was the major
which you
requirements.
can do many times, like with as many electives.
Yeah, and so there wasn't like communications, the hour requirements weren't that bad, and so I was like, oh, I can afford to put that in my schedule because I was already a Spanish major as well. Wow. So at this point, I'm a triple major.
Are you bilingual?
No.
Trilingual?
No.
Anything like that?
No. I wish I was, but no.
But it looks good on paper.
Yes, and I can understand some things, but I need to like go through and like do like Rosetta Stone or something to refresh.
Like, you're from Texas, you should practically just speak it, right?
I know, and it's like where I'm from, it's probably like 60-40, 65-35 white and Hispanic. Like it is, we have a large Hispanic community, and so much that Spanish is the only other language offered. Like we don't study French, we don't study Italian, we don't study anything else. Where I grew up, it's either like your other language credit is Spanish. And so I took that, added communications, and then after I interned with a sports agent my sophomore year, I was like, this is like a glorified babysitter sometimes, and I'm not looking to be a glorified babysitter. And I was like, in sports management, that's really specific. I feel like I'm narrowing what I can do.
Yeah, that does seem very niche.
And I wasn't like, because I do want to do sports, I don't see myself doing anything else, but if I ever got out of it, I wanted to have some other backing. And the finance professor at Ouachita was awesome. Like one of the greatest people I've ever met as a teacher, as a person. Like I still talk to him all the time, like keeps up with me. Super awesome dude. And I was like, hey, like I kind of like finance. It's challenging. I don't really like keep up with the market and all this stuff like I should, and like all the other kids in my program did. I had like tons of my friends involved in like actually investing on their own. I'm like, one, I don't have any money. Two, that's just a lot of work to keep up with. And three, I'm just not that interested. But it was a challenge. I liked it. I liked being in the business school, and I thought, hey, if I graduate, our business school is like reputable. So if I graduate with a finance degree from here, like I'm good. So I changed from sports management. So then I ended up graduating with finance, mass communication, and Spanish majors.
Wow. You got 3 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
People always say like, oh my gosh, that was so hard. It really wasn't bad because I came in with 6 Spanish credits. And
that's great. Yeah.
So for Spanish, it was only like an 18-hour major. Like it wasn't crazy. So I finished that. I went and studied abroad when I was after my sophomore year. I went to Costa Rica for a month and got 2 credits. 2 credits, or 6 hours. I took 6 hours, and it was the hardest classes I've ever taken in my life. Completely in Spanish. My instructor only spoke Spanish, and we had to write essays and read novels and do cultural projects. Like all my friends that went to Costa Rica with me from my school were in Spanish 1. And so it's like, hola, me llamo Stormi. And I'm literally reading 60 pages a night and writing 3-page essays while trying to live it up and study abroad, when they had 1 page of homework and I had so many, and I would literally stay up till like 2 a.m. doing homework on this trip. Wow. It was exhausting, but it was so fun.
Like, I don't even like reading and writing English essays like that.
Same.
I mean, I guess I do. Like, like yesterday, I read 4 pages to my students in this video, and I was just like, oh man, that really took it out of me. Yeah,
I feel that. I've been reading a book. I'm like,
I listen to books. That's the game changer.
I can't. I get too distracted.
Really?
And honestly, that makes me almost more tired than reading.
I always do it like before you got here. I was like walking around the house doing stuff like sweeping or whatever, listen to The Godfather, but exercising in the morning. So like I wake up, I just start listening to a book like while I'm like doing my morning stuff, getting ready to go to the gym. And then I go to the gym like while I'm doing cardio. I usually work out like at least an hour, and the whole time, so I can usually get 2 hours of a book in the morning.
I've thought about that, and I even like with podcasts sometimes, like if it's not
cut into my podcast time for sure.
It's like sometimes if I'm just sitting there, and I don't even have to be doing anything. I don't have to be listening to anything, reading anything. I just get tired sometimes, and so I'm really good at falling asleep.
That's good.
And so
that's a sign of like positive mental health.
So I'm reading a book right now that one of my friends gave me, and I'll read like a chapter before I go to bed, but like by the time I'm like getting ready, I'm like trying to force my eyes open to finish it. Like I'm just but now if it's like right now, it's almost like a self-help book. It's called It's Not Supposed to Be This Way, turning disappointments into like unmatched strength and stuff. And so I haven't read a lot of books like this, like fully through, because I'm more of like a girly fictional book that I just like to read about characters that don't have anything to do with real life. And some of it's like, I guess, realistic, but it doesn't really serve a purpose. It's just a fun read. That's usually what I do.
Cursed, is that the author's name?
Yes.
Oh, it's only 6 hours. That's an easy listen.
Yeah. I mean, I like reading this because it's like, I guess, uplifting.
It's good. Do you think I would like it?
Yeah. It's kind of
Is
more
it
from it. Yes and no, just because it's like some of her stories, but it's also just talking about like how to view disappointments and like in God's timing, and how nothing is like, just because you don't know the answers doesn't mean he's withholding answers from you. It's just like sometimes you can't handle the burden of what the truth is, and how things are revealed to you in time, and how taking seasons slow is good for you. Feeling pain is good as long as you're not letting it like control you and be your only thought. Just know that like you can have those negative feelings and still move forward.
Yeah, I've heard I listened to a book, Atomic Habits, and then one recently called The Power of Self-Compassion. They were both talking about the same thing. They're just kind of like, also Taoism talks about this. It's just to kind of like be an observer of things like pain and grief and accept it versus like pushing it away. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like a sort of a mindset to cope with traumatic stuff of like, yeah, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of embrace it in a way.
And see, like my personality type, have you ever taken the Enneagram test?
I don't know if I have or not.
You should. It's like a personality test. And usually like, I'm like, whatever about these, but there are like actually like a lot of things. I haven't even read the book. Like I need to read the book because so many of my friends have, that talk about different personality types. There's 1 through 9. Take the test. It puts you with these numbers. And mine is, the 7 is typically like an enthusiast. And so my thing is like, I'm a very positively minded person and kind of a peacemaker in a sense that like, I just don't like conflict because that impedes on my happiness. But the negative side of that is like, I don't deal with negative emotions at all, like very well. I don't know how to process them as well, and so I usually just kind of push them aside. And so like there's tips and tricks about how to manage these things like for your personality types, and it was just like talking about how you need to like take that slow time, get time by yourself to really like go through these and make sure you're feeling these, because if you keep pushing them away, it's just gonna like all bottle up at some point and it's just gonna like bust. So I'm trying to take little pieces of advice like that to deal with negative emotions when I have them.
Which like everybody does. It's like, and how much of it too, like a couple of the books I was listening to, the same too, are talking about it as like your inner voice is like always talking shit. Just always being like, saying things that really are not true.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're literal lies. Or like Jordan Peterson talks about this. He talks about how we externally lie, and your inner voice is actually being like, that's a lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, or we lie to ourselves in different ways, and then there's like a little struggle with like inner conflict.
Yeah, my inner voice has pissed me off recently because like I'm like going about my day, like not thinking anything negative, not being sad or anything, and then like one little thing that doesn't even have to do with it, and my inner voice is like, oh, remember, like you should be sad about that. I'm like, why? And I'm like, I was just beat bopping along, doing great, and then it's just like, wait, Stormi, like
that's super weird to me, right? Like certain places will make me like feel that way for a second, like or just like you think about certain things and it's like literally almost makes you like gesture to like, oh
yeah,
but it's just like the memory, like you tie memory to, it's weird, memories, smells, all sorts of things can take you back like that.
And sometimes it's like you didn't even know that you associated that with that memory, and then you see, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, but why did that remind me of that?
Yeah,
the mind does some freaky things.
It does. It sure does. This is a study I learned about in, I think, freshman biology. But this person went outside, walked through a parking lot, just like, let's say, a parking lot in front of the library at Tech. And they just like walked down the rows of cars. So there would have been cars on this side of them, cars on this side of them. They go back in McKeever, get put in a hypnotic state. Then they are able to recite all the license plates of all the cars they passed. But like, I want to say before that, they're like, do you know any of the license plates? And they're like, no. But this, like, that's how our mind will like store things. It is too. It's weird how we can not access things, or just how we're a goldfish and like we get into these patterns with certain things.
Yeah.
I don't have the virus.
If I get it after I leave here, I'm going to be pretty upset.
Hey, we can go into quarantine.
Yeah.
Do some podcasting.
Go in a basement. Be locked away.
I love how Reader is just totally set up for this though.
Oh yeah, he's been preparing for this.
Social distancing, like he's just like, yeah, I just don't really come to class, or come to campus, because he hasn't trained in a few weeks. He's been gone and stuff, and his class schedule's changed. He's like, yeah, I just don't really come to town that much.
No, he's a ghost.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's going to come back.
I hope he writes like the sweetest book of all time, though.
Oh, yeah, I bet. I mean, this is good for him because he's got so much time to work on his documentary and writing about.
Well, I haven't really talked to him about his documentary much. I've been seeing him post about it a little bit. But
yeah, I mean, he has, I guess, like, kind of like trailers of things on YouTube. And we watched him.
I think he said some of them got demonetized.
Yes, because they're like, it seems like they're anti like Trump and stuff, but he's trying to tell an unbiased, just like, hey, this is what is actually happening down here. We need the truth because it's been told different, like completely different stories on both sides. Here's what I saw. And so we've read some of his stuff and we've seen some of his stuff. I think it's pretty legit. Like it took a lot of dedication to do that. Like a lot.
Yeah. Like the stories he's told me blow my mind.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get our last podcast up. We like podcast for 3 hours. It's going to take forever to get on the internet.
Yeah. Even my 15-minute stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is taking years.
Well, even like I was saying, like Blackboard Collaborate earlier, that, it's like 2 hours after you do it. Like they can watch it live, but the people accessing it after is like 2 hours at least.
Until it's like done. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I feel like Blackboard and Zoom and WebEx are just going to explode.
They may. They're definitely not, I don't feel like, built for this overloading.
Like Zoom, people use that for business meetings all the time. And so now you're thinking, okay, all these businesses are quarantined. Yeah. Like there's no way that they can reach each other.
Yeah. Well, so how long have you been at Tech?
I just got here in August.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. So I just started the program in August. I just got here in August.
Yeah, of course you can't understand how cool Billy Reader is. Yeah.
I'm new here.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But I've had him for 2 semesters now. Well, 1.5 since this one got cut short. But I'll actually take his class every semester that I'm in grad school.
Are you going to be here? Well, how many more semesters you have? Like what, 2?
2. I'll come in the fall and the spring.
Are you going to take your summer class?
I might take one, but it's going to be online. I'm going to go back home for the summer most of the time.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to enjoy my last summer off because I think, not this summer, but the next summer I'll probably like have to get a job or something, and I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's really not all it's cracked up to be.
No, I don't. I mean, money's cool, but like...
Money is cool. Like, basically, in 4, like I've been telling people this, 4 more years of paying $1,200 more a month on my student loans, and I could not have to work anymore.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, that's not very much, right?
But think of how much more, like.
Yeah, exactly.
A year, that's so much money.
It is, and that's like half my paycheck from the university that we pay. But
aggressively paying stuff off like obviously
it does, and like that's how, like, I tell people this all the time. It's like that debt is literally how I got like everything going on that I have going on. And like it's how the gym got to, because at one point I used the student loan check to buy mats for the gym.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, because I was getting some different resources at different points in time. And like, I was still an undergraduate when I think I turned 25, and I was started getting Pell Grants. So they don't give you any, like, they base it off your parents' income till you're like 25. And my parents, like, my dad made pretty good money. So like, it put us just above. And I'm just like, they're not helping me at all.
Exactly. And that's what's hard about college is like, there are students like that are paying it for themselves, but they base it off parents acting like all parents help. So many parents don't. Like, I was lucky enough that my parents did help when, like, not everything, because not everything was covered with OBU, but like stacking academic and athletic and a few other like local scholarships and then additional ones, I ended up coming out okay.
Interest is what gets you. It's crazy.
That's it, literally, because I took out a loan just because my parents were like, hey, we'll cover it, but like we don't want to be on the hook for that much money every month just in case things aren't meeting up. So just take out a loan. We'll pay it off when you graduate. It had already accrued $1,000 more. It was a $5,000 loan.
Yeah.
It already accrued another $1,000 because this is our fault. We didn't read the fine print, but like most college grants, they don't start accruing interest until after you graduate. I graduate that summer and it already has $1,000 of interest added on it.
So
because
like
it didn't look.
I was on like, I didn't start paying aggressively until after I started working at the university. But the amount of interest, like, I can't even tell you. Like, it doubled one of my loans in size, because like I just didn't, like, the gym just didn't reach the zenith of success it's at until we moved into our last location, and then it just like kept accelerating. It still is, but you know, it's just like a continual work and effort towards, like, I mean, I'm 32, about to be 33. Like, I'm totally happy with the timeline of events.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was there was just a time where I could not be paying on the interest, right? So like, and it was really accruing at that time, and then I got on like an income-based repayment. And then when I started adjuncting, I started paying back. But yeah, student loans, like, oh, man, it, like, that's the thing. Like, I can get behind the argument. I'm like, it's like student loan forgiveness, like, that's my $1,200 a month going into the economy. And it's $1,200 a month from this trade. And it's like, that's not even accounting what I'm doing with the economy over here with the gym, you know, what it does and stimulates.
Yeah. And like my issue with student loans, and this is obviously a lot because I didn't have them, but I have a hard time with students that choose to go to schools they can't afford. Like when people, I went to a private school, when people go there and then they want to complain about they had this amount of loans, I'm like, there's so many ways to make, I mean, obviously it's not as glamorous, but like there's so many ways to make college affordable. Go to community college. Yeah. Take those courses there and get all that out of the way, and then transfer to a state university that is also cheaper. Like especially when you are getting non-degree, like super specific jobs after you graduate, there's no need to go $100,000 in debt when you could have gone 10 or none. Yeah.
I will say this, like, rising tuition rates. That's insane. Like,
that needs to slow down.
Absolutely. It does. Well, I mean, in my opinion, like, it needs to stop. Like, because we can't do this forever. Rates have gone up like literally every year since I've been out of college, and they went up every year that I was in college. Yeah. Like, that's not a sustainable model. Like, I mean, that, and then the interest rate amount while you're in school, after you get out of school, like, people not being able to find and transition to jobs. I got a friend of mine, their son-in-law has a PhD, couldn't get a job forever. So, and it was in history, was teaching for like peanuts as an adjunct, like $2,000 a class or less. And like, you can't pay the bills with that, even if you were teaching so imagine that, like, I get paid like 40-ish a year, depending on if I teach overloads or whatever, but it's $17.60 a class for an adjunct at my college. So one of our adjuncts teaches 4 classes.
Yeah.
I teach 5 classes and I get paid $40,000. They teach 4 classes and get paid less than 10. Yeah. But hey, you're going to have a master's degree soon. You can teach college.
I don't want to teach. My mom's a teacher and I've just...
Yeah. Is she a college teacher? Or,
no, she's an elementary school teacher.
Yeah. See, college is a whole different ball game. I love teaching college.
I don't know.
You could be Billy Reader, but a girl, female, woman.
I don't know.
What is the preferred term for, like, what do you like to be called? A lady?
I really don't. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Like, I get why girl might bother older women, because they're like, I'm a woman. I'm like, I'm 23. I'm kind of in that limbo.
Oh,
like,
wow. You're 23. I perceived you to be older. No. Congrats.
Thank you. I usually get told I'm younger, but I don't really
I was like
care.
28 when I was in grad school, so like I assume people are like older in grad school.
See, my mindset with grad school is like, go ahead and do it right after school, because I've heard so many people that are like, oh yeah, I was going to get my master's, but then I got a job, and it's just like, and I don't think it's essential for me to get a job to have it, but I had the opportunity to do it and for basically free. And so it's like, why would I not take advantage of that? And then go, like, so I don't have to talk myself into going back into school when I'm married with kids, job, adding all that extra stress, when I can just do it now when I don't have anything else to do.
I went straight through. I took a semester off because I had a surgery, but I think I was doing online classes during that time though. I remember writing while I was recovering.
Just like now, everything's online, you know? That
might have been on my master's thesis that I was writing though too.
I'm so thankful I don't have to do a thesis.
Are you doing like comms? You have to take a test?
No, we do a professional portfolio. And so you basically pick a topic and you write 2 1,500 written stories, 1,500 words, 2 3 to 5 minute videos, 2 3 to 5 minute audio stories, 2 infographics, and 2 photo stories with 20 or more photos. And so I'm going to start working on that probably over the summer. I got to get my idea approved.
What is your idea?
I'm thinking about talking about the opioid crisis, and I did a paper over it last semester, and it's not something, I mean, like, I'm so like I wanted to do something sports, but it's so hard to find a new angle that's not time sensitive about sports and tell a new story that hasn't been told. And I thought if I took another direction, like non-sports related, I can show that I'm not just sports minded. But I wrote a paper about it last semester. I was like, this is really cool. And when you have to get that many different stories about the same thing, I think there's so many sides that
for sure.
You can talk to pharmacists and how they deal with.
I've got the hookup on that for you. Pharmacists,
and then as recovering addicts, like, there's a lot of people that are willing to tell their story. There's family members that have lost loved ones due to it. There's doctors. Do you
have to interview people for this?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be like interviewing them in person. Like, I mean, there's Celebrate Recovery here in Russellville that deals with people that have had addictions. And I mean, it could be.
I know the guy that runs that.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Ted.
Okay.
Theodore.
Gotcha.
Leonidas. But so if you get to looking for interviews, and I know the guy that his family, and he is a pharmacist. He goes to the gym. He has a sweet mustache. But they own the longest running pharmacy in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
Right here in Russellville. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's like just a lot of different ways that you can look at it, and obviously like a lot of information out there, and it is a crisis that.
Have you seen that 30 for 30 documentary about the opioid crisis? ESPN put out about Chris Herron, basketball player for the Boston Celtics.
I need to watch that, and the THV11 did a big like feature about like I don't even remember what it was. But they did like basically like kind of like a, hey, let's save Arkansas kind of thing, because I know it is a big issue in Arkansas.
And I feel like it was worse a few years back, but that's a great angle. I wish you luck with that.
Thank you.
Well, because like watching that, I'll bring that documentary up, because watching that documentary at the time that I watched it is what gave me empathy about those groups of people, because I just thought like, oh yeah, like you're doing drugs that are super shitty, bad drugs.
Yeah,
you know, like and in my
how
head,
could you do that to your family? How could you do that to yourself?
yeah,
Like,
you
it's
just
not
don't
like
get
that.
it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get physical dependence. Like there was no pill or drug I ever took at that time that I like the next day I was like, I gotta have some more of that.
Yeah.
You know, like it was never like, and I've even tried, I'd like taken some Oxycontin for my back and shit before, like very small dosage, and I did not like it. And never did I be like, oh, give me some more, you know? Yeah,
well, I got my wisdom teeth out and had hydrocodone. Didn't think anything of it, but like when you get them out and you're on that pain cycle of like having to take them every 3 to 4 hours, well, the first 2 days I was in pain, so I'd take them in the middle of the night. Well, then my mom was like, hey, like, let's start weaning you off. You don't need them as much. You know, my body naturally woke me up in the middle of the night. And I don't know if I don't know if you can really have like addictive qualities in your blood or in your personality or something, but
I think so.
And so, I mean, like my body was already in kind of withdrawal. Like it knew that that's its schedule and that's what it wanted. So my body literally woke me up in the middle of the night to get more, but I didn't get any. But
are you familiar with like Asian flushing syndrome? It's people like have a certain genetic background that like they drank alcohol and they turn like super red. And it like flushes their face out. But this is I think there's all sorts of things that like they do that because it's like in a sense they're allergic to alcohol. I think if you looked at like Asian migration patterns and then you said like, oh hey, look over here how this alcohol decimated these Native American cultures. If you buy the thesis that the land bridge migration or that these people are, and that's a DNA argument too. Like, hey, here's the DNA research. It makes sense. Like, cause they always point to like people in China, like look at this reaction to alcohol. But what I read about with Native Americans, Plains tribes, when they got exposed to alcohol and became dependent on it, I'm like, they have the same DNA.
Yeah.
So, but I think that there's, I think that certain people are more susceptible, and I think that certain people maybe have a gene that would maybe make them more addicted to something. Yeah, I
mean, because they talk about alcoholism and stuff being like passed down, and that's why, like my mom on her side of the family, they've had issues with drugs in the past. So mom's like, I have never ever been tempted to do anything, even like the most or like the least effects of like marijuana or anything. She's like, I will not touch anything because I know people in my family have struggled with addiction to these.
That's it. And I'll say like another thing that goes on, because I used to be super paranoid, and then you hear this chatter that's like, oh, these drugs over here, they're good for you, right? Like I've never like heard like, yeah, this Oxycontin's good. Yeah, like it's good for your body.
Yeah, these do great things for you.
Yeah, and like, but like, you know, hey, take this LSD. It's great for your consciousness, or DMT, or psilocybin. But you get, I feel like the gateway drug argument I understand now, because here's it. Like when you start like, oh, well, these psychedelics, they're okay, you know, to an extent.
Yeah.
If you have a mental illness, probably going to mess you up.
Yeah.
It's basically send you into a descent. So like I've seen that. I've seen a lot of studies on that, and I've seen people that I feel like have gone through that. Or also you're like, well, if this drug's okay.
Yeah. Then
this one is.
Yes, because you're going to loop them all into the same, like, oh, well, I mean, they just give different effects, but they're all like the same degree of effect. And it's like, okay.
You just can't do psychedelics multiple times. I don't even think a year.
No, because I mean, it makes your brain go into like, and I've heard stories about people like tripping off something and not being able to like come back, especially like with like DMT is what I heard. That's like literally insane to me. That
it's more like how you do come back, like how you're gonna be after what you experience.
Because you're talking about like the most like the strongest like mushrooms or what, or like shrooms and stuff. How people have like gone to that other dimension, or like I think it was with DMT, like talking about how they saw another dimension of the world, and you're like, what? Like you can't, like you
somewhere
don't
else. Yeah,
you can't believe them, but like, how did they just make that up? You know,
here's something fascinating. You're somewhere else, you see things you never saw before ever, and when you come back, you see those things after the fact, like images, combinations of images, things you've never seen before, and then they come back up when you do different psychedelic drugs later.
No, I would just be so confused.
Basically this, psilocybin and LSD can produce visual effects. So DMT does too. People's visual effects they experience after having done DMT on psilocybin and LSD are changed. The visuals they experience are changed to be more like the DMT visuals. I don't even understand that.
It's very scary, and it's scary when these things become easily available.
Yeah.
Everyone,
because DMT is like vape pens. Like you can get DMT in a vape pen. I'm like, guys, we can't be doing that. No, that is so crazy.
Yeah, because is DMT the one where it's like essentially like harnessing the effect of like when you're born and when you die? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Like that wasn't meant to be harnessed like that. Like there's a reason it only happens.
Well, like I will say this, like knowing what I know about it, and there's a book I have in the other room called The Spirit Molecule, is that historically I believe that cultures have harnessed this ability to tap into this several times, and that is many of the projects we see are like monuments to that. For example, here's the number one thing that people report, that in my experience people report on DMT: pyramids. Okay, DMT and ayahuasca in South America. There's like thousands of pyramids in South America. What's up with that? Right? So like all these pyramids in Egypt, there's a drug there called the flower of life that produces similar effects. But also I believe that Egypt used to be like the Amazon is now.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Amazon probably used to be different than it is now. It's all covered up.
Yeah.
I don't think it was always like that. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm not sick. It's the allergies.
It's the corona.
I do get allergies this is like a horrible time to be sifting through this, because I do get allergies
and
this time of year.
The flu. And somebody even said back about January, February, so many people were like saying the flu shot didn't work.
I know several people got A and B strains.
But they were saying it didn't work, and that they were feeling all these symptoms that is like what the coronavirus is and COVID-19. And so it's like, maybe it was already here, and they would just say, oh, you have the flu, because they didn't know. Like they didn't know that there was anything else.
Essentially, any negative flu test was probably COVID-19.
Exactly. And so, but with that being said, people were fine. We weren't tripping out January and February.
Yeah.
And now we're just like, oh my God, we can't breathe around each other.
I saw a super funny meme the other day. It was like the Winnie the Pooh stitch, and it was like normal Winnie the Pooh, and it was like Corona, and then it was like a different Winnie the Pooh, like coronavirus, and then it was like a super like tuxedo Winnie the Pooh, and like the little eyeglass thing is like COVID-19.
It's just like people. I saw a meme. It was a spider, like the three Spider-Mans looking at each other.
Oh yes,
and it's like seasonal allergies, coronavirus.
I think I shared that. Yeah.
And flu vaccine.
Super funny.
I mean, it's true though, and that's why, because now when we don't have these tests, they're basically testing you for strep, the flu, and something else. And if you don't have any of those three, then they're sending you home.
Have you had the flu before?
I don't know.
It's horrible.
It's weird because I haven't gotten a flu shot in years, and I got one this year. And I mean, I haven't gotten it, and I haven't gotten it this year. But when I was growing up, kids used to get strep all the time. I would not get strep.
I got it in high school, and it was so bad.
I would not get that. I always got a stomach virus. Like if there was a stomach bug going around, and that's not even like seasonal. That's just like what happens. Like I'd get it in a heartbeat. Boom. I used to get the stomach bug at least once a year. But like other things, my sister used to get strep growing up, but that's just not something I was susceptible to, and I don't know why.
It's so weird.
I know. I'm like,
it's got to be all our immune system. I mean, whether it's high, low, flying in the middle, like, because like immune, like people say immunocompromised. That is that doesn't tell me anything. Yeah. Like, what about people? So is that people with low immunity or high immunity? Because people with autoimmune disease, they have a high immune system. Like I have, after I had that surgery, I had an autoimmune issue, and basically got to where if I would exercise, I would have these patches like pop up on my skin, but it was from a high immune system. Like
you're trying to fight too many things.
Yeah, autoimmune diseases like psoriasis and eczema and stuff like that are high immune system.
Okay,
it is your
I have a high immune system because
me too.
I get eczema.
I got one right there.
Arms.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a high immune system. So like maybe also here's another thing. I like looking at this for like dietary stuff, but like I read an article yesterday that said people with like blood type O negative are like not susceptible to COVID-19. Yeah. Chorus of that. That's why I remarked on it.
I don't even know what my blood type is.
I don't either. I told her, I was like, I have no idea.
And
Did
I
it
asked
say
my
so on your
dad.
driver's license? I don't even have my license in here.
I don't think so. But like my dad's a firefighter and like they give blood all the time. I'm like, Dad, what's my blood type? Like I feel like, my parents should know what my blood type is.
Check this out. You can get autoimmune diseases from getting blood transfusions.
That would make sense.
So I think it's like, I don't know why exactly. My mom has one. She had a blood transfusion a couple of years back. And I think if the person you got the blood from has an autoimmune disease, you get it.
No, I mean, that would make sense because but how do you, like in their defense, like how would you know that taken there? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's just
maybe
weird.
they just didn't even know it.
I told my mom, I was like, you need to like sue that hospital. Like, what the hell? Like you have this horrible thing after getting this blood transfusion. Like,
yeah, there's an issue. Yeah. Cause like because sometimes like you might go, I mean, I wouldn't think I have any immune thing, but I have, like you said, I have eczema. So, maybe I do. So,
what helps, and two, like I've wondered several times if it's not the climate that we're in. But what helps me is taking vitamin D.
Yep.
And you got to take it with food. So like it was weird. Like I started fasting in the mornings. So like I had this morning supplement routine and I had to change it entirely because I wasn't like, there was nothing to uptake my supplements with.
Yeah.
So, but vitamin D is helpful. It keeps, cause most people are vitamin D deficient. We stay indoors.
Yeah.
And two, like we're just now, like this is a time of year where it all goes away for me. Like we're just kind of getting there, like April. Like about 8 months out of the year, I don't have any effects of it. It's weird.
Yeah. I'm hoping to use this some quarantine time to get some sun. Yeah. Just lay around and just let the sun hit. Because like you said, we spend so much time inside. Last week, it was beautiful. And the week before that, there were times that it was beautiful. Then I was in class or I was at work. I was like, this is miserable. Like I want to spend all my time outside. Like, please just send me outside. I'll do class from outside. I even took my online web meeting outside of my apartment because it was too nice to be inside.
Yeah. I hope is it going to be nice today?
I think so. And later next week, like the middle of next week, it's supposed to be like in the 80s.
60 now, 57. It's supposed to be partly cloudy.
I think it's like Wednesday or Thursday that it's supposed to be pretty warm.
I guess it's supposed to be kind of cloud back up from like 2 o'clock on.
Yeah.
But yeah. Can't believe it's already Friday.
I know.
Weird.
It was funny. I was hanging out with one of the tech coaches and his wife yesterday. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, tomorrow's Friday," and we're like, "But right now, what difference does it make? We're not doing anything different."
It's super weird. I thought I would get so much more done this week too.
Yeah.
Like just doing the videos slow me down.
Yeah, and it's just like there's no difference between Thursday and Friday, except the fact that it's a different day because we're doing the same stuff because now we have nothing to do.
What a great way to exploit the weakness of these social constructs we refer to as days.
Yeah.
Calendars. They really don't matter anymore,
nope.
Except for when we're going to resume activity.
I know. I wonder because I mean, if they're closing everything down for like a month and we really do kind of take this social distance stuff seriously, we've got to be able to loosen up and return. They said that we might still see like effects of things like June and July, but I don't think we're not going to stay on.
I hope the warmer it gets, the
lockdown.
less. And apparently China is returning to some normalcy.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's racist that Trump calls it the Chinese virus?
I don't know because I was looking at
people are roasting his ass for that.
Oh, I know.
Now calling it Kung Flu, that's fucking atrocious.
Yes, but it did originate from China. So when people originate from China, they are Chinese. Chinese is not a person, it's an adjective. It's like an adjective, but I do get it. Like I'm only saying that because somebody posted about it on one of my friends on Twitter was like, is it racist to say that because it did originate from China? So it does have Chinese origin. So why? But
it's exactly what Trump's saying. It was so much funnier. He's like, it's from China.
And so, but I mean, obviously with Trump, it's going to be negative. No matter what he said. Now the Kung flu, yes, very bad. But like people were saying it was racist to say it was a Wuhan thing. It originated in Wuhan, China. I'm not talking about Wuhan people. I'm talking about the fact that it is from that area. Why can't I go? Because, okay, there's some book, you'll probably know what it is. And it was talking about like how this has been predicted in a book. Like the Wuhan 400. It was Into the Darkness. Is that the book or is that the... Yeah. I just saw that page. But it's like, I feel like if you're naming it after where it came from, like if I created a virus from myself, calling it the Stormi virus, like that's just what it is. But there's right now, like the racial climate across the world is so tense. Like you can't say things like that and it be okay. Even if like in another, correct. And like everything has to be politically correct. It might not
be racist, but it's not politically correct, Donald.
Yeah. And like I said, it's whether you support him or don't support him, it like in times like this, everything is going to be negatively viewed.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's just like everything is so extreme. That's what we've been talking about on my media classes, because the media has become so biased both ways. It's like, who can just tell me the truth? And it's almost like you can't even get the true truth unless you're there experiencing it. And even then, you view it through a biased lens.
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's eyewitness testimonies are some of the most unreliable in a court of law. So that's interesting. I've thought about that many times. I mean, as a historian, like I'm always like relying on other people's accounts. Like there's this one account in ancient history I tell about the siege of Jerusalem by the Assyrians. The Egyptians, the Assyrians, and the Jews, the Hebrews, they all tell it differently. None of the accounts are the same. And I'm just like...
It's like, what do you piece together with each of those? Because what do you take as truth?
Exactly. So then you get into the philosophical side is like moral relativism. Is truth change? And like, is it open to change? If I can convince you that 2 + 2 is 5, does that make it 5? What makes it 4? Yeah. So that's like relativism.
Yeah. And we've talked about that in my classes too. It's like, what is truth? And how do you like... How can you perceive it, and how can a person truly tell unbiased truth?
Yeah, is it even possible?
I think about certain things because like the weather, it's raining. That's truth, but when it can reflect any type of a view on it, then it's hard to be unbiased.
It's kind of like too, like how like it's raining, but the truth is in the object of the raindrop.
Yeah.
So that's like I can interpret that as an objective truth, right? I'm like, but like that is like with it when it comes to truth. I think what we're seeing in the media, and it's because of our political system. Mm-hmm. Because it's already happened in other cultures. It's like you get some rhetoric and you get some sophistry. Somebody that's like a really good public speaker that can convince you that that's not a raindrop. No. It's not raining. Like this is not rain. This is oil. Or whatever it is. Like this is other process that like rain is something that used to happen. Yeah. It doesn't happen anymore. Well, check this out. This stuff is something new. And if you can convince people, then is it rain anymore?
That's like literally Hitler though to me. Is that like he found a way to convince people that what he was doing wasn't what he was doing. Like it wasn't racism or anything. It was like, no, they convince him like, no, these things need to happen and it's like, wait, what? Like how could somebody manage that? But then like you said, it's a public speaker. Like he was an incredible public speaker and he was able
gestures. He had the whole bag.
Yeah. He could maneuver through things and convince people of things that seem impossible now, but we weren't in that time. So we don't know what it was like.
Yeah. Well, and two, like I was just talking with a buddy of mine, like a couple of days ago, like we're losing the consciousness of the Holocaust right now. Like there's people alive that don't know about it.
Yeah, and people think that it didn't happen.
And then also there's a whole group of people that like they know about it, but they don't see how it could have happened. So interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, buddy, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you ever come back, it'll probably be in the studio at the gym. Have you seen the new studio space?
No, I haven't.
It's about 4 times the size.
I've literally gone in, seen the mats, and seen the bathroom and fitness kickboxing.
Okay. Well, that's your bag. That's where you need to be.
Yeah.
We'll have some virtual yoga. Are you gonna do hot yoga?
Yes, I'm already signed up.
Yeah. It is my hope that we can come back after spring break.
Yeah, because I think they just do I've talked about this too. It's like a widespread cancel, because when you say postpone, that opens the door for so many questions. Like, how long? Well, when are you going to know? How do you decide? It's like, if you just go ahead and cancel it and then reinstate stuff, it's a lot easier than just saying, hey, we're gonna postpone it, because then it just leaves too much gray area.
Yeah,
you can make it black and white and then fix it.
Well, and two, this has been wearing me out. How much like my college is not following, sort of like what the industry's doing, but they've blasted out so much information like that. A lot of my students are operating on the old info, like from like Thursday of last week.
Yeah, because it's just been information overload.
Overload, yeah.
Like, you just get a new email changing things every hour. And it's like, okay, can you just say, hey, this is like the way my undergrad did it. They said, hey, we're not going to make any final remarks. Just know that we are in the process of going through everything. We're out until after spring break. Just know that, and we're constantly reevaluating. So just stick with us. We're not gonna try to overload you, but once we have a set plan of how things are going to go, we'll release it. And I made all my due dates for April 1, Wednesday after spring break. So I'm trying to be lenient. I read the test on a video. I'm like, this is the test. Question 1, this. Rewind this, go look it up, study your notes. It's the bolded terms of my lecture notes. Yeah. Question 2. So I hope that they don't have any problems. See how many emails I've got since we've been podcasting from these. Yeah, my professors have been emailing us a lot, but luckily now that it's spring break, I think that can help professors too, kind of get their, realizing they don't have anything that they have to be looking at right now, that they can take time to go over things and be like, okay,
5.
Let's slow it down. Let's evaluate what we can do.
My smartest student is lost, so we're all screwed. He's like, I can't find these 2 discussion boards. I'm like, shit. Yeah, dude, they were literally filming a commercial about you the other day, in my classroom. No.
You were our golden ticket. If you can't figure this out, no one can.
Oh, man. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming on, and I will shoot you a link when I get it uploaded.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.